Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video. It's a cold one today, and I mean cold. 11th of September, it's still officially summertime here in the UK, and it's pigging, freezing and blowing a hoolie. My nose is running, that's good for first thing in the morning, isn't it? Tell you what though, I'm in a very interesting place that I've never been to before. This composition, it's really nice. Just the fence that looks like an ordinary garden fence. Foreground interest, leading lines all the way out to that post out there. And what I'm going to do is create different lengths of exposure, because with the way these waves are crashing up at the moment, they add a lot of interest to this image. So I'm going to play around with either flattening the water out completely with a long exposure, say long, it'll be probably 30 seconds, and also I'm going to shorten that shutter speed duration as well, maybe half a second or a second or thereabouts, and basically just have a play with these crashing waves that are coming in. It's so easy to do. I've just applied my 6-stop filter and then slowed my shutter speed down and just played around, opening the aperture, speeding the shutter speed up, closing the aperture, lengthening the shutter speed. And I've shot probably 20 pictures, everything ranging from 30-second exposure up to 2.5 seconds. And then just see what I prefer in post-production. Oh, what a challenging day this is today. Very challenging. If I sound like I'm rushing things, then I apologise, but it's an incoming tide, and where I'm currently standing is going to be consumed very quickly. So times like this, you just have to move quick. Right, so my thought process now is I really love the zigzag groins here. They're very different from the zigzag groins that I've been photographing for the past 2 days. Very different. I like the garden fence-like structure. I think it's really cool. So I'm just gonna play around now and see what compositions I can come up with. I'm probably gonna move across here if I don't fall over and break my neck, and look straight down. Oh, look at that, that's wonderful. That's really nice. That there is so cool. So again, I'm just gonna think of a basic setup in terms of rules of thirds. I quite like something like that. Now, these bottom two here sitting perfect all the way out. That horizon at the moment on that rule of thirds, and it's so cool. I mean, this is the garden fence structure that I'm talking about. And look at all those stones that have naturally trapped in between all the gaps. It just makes for a really interesting foreground and a very interesting subject to photograph. There you go. ISO 100 f13, half a second under this light. And all I'm going to do now is wait for the water to come. Oh, there you go, come up and around there, exactly where I want it, and then grab some shots. And then, ideally, you photograph the shot as the wave is receding. But to be honest, as the wave is crashing through in between the gaps and splashing up over the rocks that are trapped, also looks interesting. But the light is incredibly harsh, just nothing but pure sunlight. Now I like this so much, I'm just gonna wait until the tide height is oh, that's nice, is a little bit higher, because the foreground at the moment is quite messy. I don't want to zoom in too much more because I really like the trapped stones in the first set of groins. I think they're pretty cool and will definitely add an element of interest in the image. Come on. Right. Right, while I'm waiting for that, then what I'm going to do is change my composition ever so slightly. So I'm probably going to have about a 15-minute wait. So, having said I prefer the first bit, what I'm now going to do is zoom in and avoid the first bit altogether, and then take a long exposure. So let's get my 6-stop filter off there, and let's see what we can come up with. ISO 100, f11. All right, okay, so 250th of a second at f9, ISO 100, perfect. So that means 15-stop filter at 2 minutes. Make sure I've pre-focused. Straight down to 120 seconds, and away she goes. Right, just for your information, it is 11 o'clock, so that's pretty much in the middle of the day. You could probably tell by my squinting eyes that the sun is very, very bright. Nothing but what I call Simpson skies, bright blue skies, white fluffy clouds. Very, very tough conditions. But what I always say at times like this, if you can achieve something half decent under telling conditions, then that can only be a good thing, can't it? That says a lot about your skill level. Obviously not me, I mean all of us, I mean in general. So yeah, that's the challenge. You've got to make lemonade, as the famous saying goes. Now, I've got to tell you, you know when you look at a picture and you think to yourself, that's pretty cool. Under these conditions, I am very happy. No camera shake, nothing's moved. Foreground interest, yeah. And that long exposure, oh, that is so cool. That is so cool. Now I'm guessing you definitely won't be able to hear it on this microphone, but above is the sound of freedom. There's F-35s practicing, they're on some kind of exercise, military exercise this week, so there's quite a few of them up there and I can just about see them zigzagging and doing their stuff. What a fantastic sound. Now the reason why I'm saying that is because obviously I love my jets, I go to the Mac Loop quite often, I make lots of Mac Loop videos, and yesterday I actually went to RAF Lakenheath where these F-35s are based, or where some of these F-35s are currently based. Just went there for the afternoon. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. And so to be here now, doing my favorite thing, listening to the sound of freedom above my head. Life doesn't get better than this. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm so fortunate to be able to call this my job, my living, my passion, my hobby. You can't say that about many trades, can you? tide height is perfect now, and I've just taken another 2-minute exposure. But what I've noticed is there's a tiny bit of movement in the sky, but the sky is actually coming towards us, so the streaks are coming towards us, which I think is quite cool. So what I've done is, because I've got my 15 stop filter on, I've closed my aperture by another stop, therefore lengthening the shutter speed up to 4 minutes. And now the tide is coming up and around the tripod feet. I've no idea if this is going to work or not, but I think with an extra 2 minutes on the exposure, if the camera doesn't move during that time, the streaky clouds will add another element to this incredible image. Well, I say incredible. I mean, you might not agree, but now I've just finished an 8-minute exposure and I love it. I think it's fantastic here. Now, of course, not everybody likes extremely long exposures, I get that. But this place here is so cool. What I thought I would do is take an array of different shutter speed shots without changing the composition at all. In actual fact, I'm going to start over 1,000th of a second and then slow the shutter speed down in increments of 1 stop until I get to around about the 8-minute mark. So in a space of 30 seconds, when you look at all these pictures, you'll see the difference a shutter speed makes. There's only one slight issue with this. Obviously I've done my calculations, but the sun is in and out. But I'll try and be consistent with my settings all the way through. Right, I'm ready to go. Here's the first one, 1,000th of a second. Right, I'll draw a close to this video. Thank you so much indeed, as always, for your continued support, and for especially for watching this video, because it's been pretty similar to the last 2 videos. What, you mean you haven't checked those out yet? Please do so. Right, as always, and I have to ask, help support the channel by giving that like button a bit of a nudge, and if you're new here and you want to find your way back, then consider subscribing as well. Cheers.